feel your way into this sacred ocean of devotion known as Agape International, I welcome you, I welcome me, I welcome the practitioners that are here with us today, individuals who were initiated yesterday morning as a part of the glorious mystical order of the practitioners here at Agape. You'll meet them a little later in service, but as we are welcoming ourselves to this moment, extract your attention from anything that you have to do later on in the day and release your attention from where you have come to be in this particular moment and allow yourself to be right here and right now. Assist yourself with that by just taking your arms and wrapping yourself up for a moment and becoming aware that you are a unique, one-of-a-kind expression of infinite potential. That this presence of God, and when we say God at Agape, we're not talking about a guy in the sky. We're talking about a presence of life that's never absent, presence of love and beauty and intelligence, and that we have been shot from this presence. We are emerging from this presence like a wave emerging from the ocean, and that everything we can want and hope for and desire is already within us. So we're feeling into that right now and allowing ourselves to just develop a level of coherence around this fundamental idea until this idea becomes the activity of our awareness. Be with me right here and right now. And as you release yourself into a deep surrender, a deep yielding, a deep letting go to the good that is seeking to express itself by means of you. Our theme this month has been to see, to be, to live in serenity. And we've worked with this theme all month to come to a greater understanding that when we speak of seeing, we're talking about releasing the debris from our inner sight, so that we can see and recognize as we pray here at Agape that the presence of God is everywhere, that we can be the frequency and the vibration of wholeness and oneness and unity, and to live in a deep and real sense of serenity. Now, when I say that, oftentimes people are a little hesitant about that because their attention has been hijacked by the vicissitudes of the human experience, and they are lost at sea, so to speak. The turbulence of the world has hijacked most of their attention. So when one talks about living in peace or living in serenity, it seems like it's a fantasy. It seems like daydreaming. It seems like that's not possible when you read the newspaper or when you see what's happening in the world. But when you come to an understanding, as we've been talking about this month, that our spiritual practice is about expanding the context by which we are to live our life. You at times think of yourself as individuals that are merely the sons and daughters of your parents or your grandparents or your ancestral line, and you see yourself primarily from a small context of where you were born, what your nationality is, what your sexual orientation is, what schools you went through, or all the human experiences that you've been through, and you kind of identify yourself that way. But when you come into spiritual practice, you are praying and you're meditating to expand the context by which you're living your life. So you're not living and moving and having your beingness in the world. You're not living and moving and having your beingness in your past experiences. You are living and moving and having your beingness in the context of the presence of God. Again, not a guy in the sky, but a presence that's never an absence. So your prayer and your meditation is not seeking to influence God or to change God. Your prayer and your meditation is to catch and have a realization of what God is and who you are in reference to this God presence. Your consciousness expands, your context expands, and then when your context expands, your perception changes. Remember, perception perceptions brings about thoughts. Thoughts manifest as experience. So if you're living, moving, having your beingness in the world, then your context is limited, your perception is limited, and your experience is limited. When you have the context of your living, moving, and having your beingness in the presence, your perception is expanded. Now you catch spiritual ideas shot from the heart mind of the infinite, and you begin to reveal on earth this expanded perception, opportunities, possibilities, revelations of healing and wholeness, inspired wisdom, guidance, and direction in a language and in a way that you can understand. And this is not mere fantasy. This is reality capturing your awareness. To see, to be, and to live in serenity means we are living in a larger context of our life through spiritual practice, mind you, not just memorization and not just having a belief system. Those are beginning points, but as the practitioners would attest to, at some level, you got to jump in with both feet, and you actually have to practice these principles so that you bring them alive in your life. And then the peace is actually a demonstration of your alignment with the presence. Your alignment with the presence that is never an absence. Not an alignment with mere historical facts that have moved through the human consciousness, but alignment with the presence so you can actually walk in the world at peace, being an emissary of peace, a peacemaker, a peacekeeper, a revelation of peace. Again, not a fantasy, but active consciousness. It is active in your consciousness the same way that yeast may be active in the leaven that becomes bread, non-gluten. You become the yeast of peace that becomes active in the consciousness that's non-violent, harmless, but radiating such power that environments change because you are in that particular environment. And so you're here today as a topic, rise and lift. It ain't heavy if you know what. In other words, we use the word rising as another way of describing expansion of consciousness. Rise is simply a linguistic convenience because in God there is no up or down, left or right, front or back. So it's really an expansion of your awareness, but we use the word rise as a linguistic convenience, and so that we are lifting our awareness through prayer, lifting our awareness so that we can lift the world. Now, what does this mean? You've heard the statement that high tide lifts all boats. Now, each and every one of us can't go to a harbor and lift a boat. If we could, it would take a long time for all of us to get the equipment and everything to lift a boat. But high tide lifts the boat. And so what we're seeking to do is not go out into the world and lift the boats, or to lift that which has been manifested and condensed itself as negativity, fear, doubt, worry, wars, rumors of wars, greed, avarice, hate. No. We're becoming a part of the high tide of consciousness through expansion of our awareness, and then together we become a high tide of peace, a high tide of love and of generosity and creativity that lifts humanity. It ain't heavy if you know what. It's only heavy if you go out and try to lift it mentally or lift it physically. But if you expand your awareness and the presence of God becomes active in you and peace becomes active in you, you lift by your presence. And then as a community that grants you immunity from the lower frequencies of life, we become a great point of lifting because we become a part of the high tide of consciousness. It ain't heavy if you know what. If you know what. People used to say, if you know how. We don't say that. Because if you know the what, then you'll know the how. And the what is the presence of God. It ain't heavy if you know the what. It ain't heavy if you really know the presence. And then if you know the presence, then the how comes to you and through you in a language and in a way that you can understand, you see. And so oftentimes people are not right, don't think that they're qualified to be a peacekeeper, a peacemaker, to make a mighty difference on the planet. They focus all of their attention on what's wrong with themselves. They focus all of their attention on the mistakes they've made in life, and that becomes a part of their identity that they are dragging along in the human incarnation. And so ultimately, you must have the realization that you are stronger than the worst underdeveloped parts of yourself. You are stronger than what you would call the worst and undeveloped parts of yourself. We don't say they're bad, we say they are undeveloped. And that undeveloped part of yourself is a gift in embryo. There is something in what you might think is bad within yourself that underneath there is an energy of gift, talent, and capacity that's trying to activate itself. It's just an underdeveloped aspect of yourself that you are looking upon it as something negative, as something bad. But in fact, if you look at it and say, what gift is trying to happen there? You will begin to hear. Not with your ears, but you begin to hear in consciousness that there's something in you brewing. There's something within you gestating. There's something with you that is trying to emerge, and you'll realize that what you think is bad, because God don't make no bad. God only makes itself. And you are here to participate in your own unfolding. Instead of putting your attention on all the mistakes and labeling yourself bad, you say, oh, that was an undeveloped part of my life. That's an undeveloped part of my history. But there's something in me that's so great and magnificent. And you begin to focus on that and ask, what is the gift underneath all of that? Oh, my God. You begin to set yourself free. Your back will become straight. You realize there's nothing wrong with you at all. You've been given everything by the great power and presence and love. You've been given everything, and you are here to unpack it. You're here to let it unfold. You're here to give it away. You're here to share it. You're here to shine it. You're here to radiate it. So you don't get caught up in the trap of taking. You don't get caught up in the trap of greed. You don't get caught up in the trap of trying to make something happen. You get caught up in the flow of generosity and radiance and emergence and living in such a way that opportunities just show up everywhere in your life. And when those discordant thoughts come into your awareness about how bad you are and how many mistakes you made, you'll say, get thee behind me, Satan. Get thee behind me, crazy thought. Get thee behind me, downward spiraling Luciferian energy. Get thee behind me, misconception. I was immaculately conceived by a presence. I was immaculately conceived by a presence, and I am developing myself more and more and more every single day. I am setting myself free, you see. And then what will happen? You will become so full of God, there'll be no room for little self. You'll be so full of God. Now, that's scary to the ego. To be so full of the presence that your little self disappears or loses control or loses driving your life. It is nervous. It's nerve-wracking and anxiety-producing to the egoic perception that was there to protect your individuality from hurt, harm, and danger, except that it's gone too far. Now it's trying to protect you from anyone that doesn't look like you. It's trying to protect you from people born in other parts of the world, different colors of skin, different sexual orientations. It's trying to protect you from your own rivers, your own rainforests. It's trying to cause a sense of separation from the planet. No, it's just that egoic perception was just a part of the evolutionary design to make sure that the experiment called spiritual beings having a human incarnation could survive. Well, we have survived, but we've taken out species along the way from allowing the egoic perception to denote a level of separation from anything but the small self, you see? And so we are becoming so full of the presence. There's no room for the small self to run the show anymore. And then you begin to understand that there's something called the angel of transformation. Its only job is to keep you uncomfortable. so that you do not go off this planet without giving your gift. You see, the angel of transformation comes and keeps you just a little bit uncomfortable all the time, so you're always on the verge of self-discovery, always on the verge of embracing the next level of your own unfolding, because you're not here to become comfortable. You're here to become comfortable in transformation. Which is why the scripture says foxes have holes and birds have nests, but there's no place for the Son of Man, the Son of humanity, the Son of woman to lay their head. In other words, we are here on a constant unfolding and transformation. You look back on your life and you will notice that some of the worst things that ever happened to you were your evolutionary triggers to change, your evolutionary triggers to go deep, your evolutionary triggers to grow. Something that made you so uncomfortable that you just couldn't stand it anymore were evolutionary triggers for you to say, I've got to be more of who and what I am. So there are angels whose only job is to make you uncomfortable, you see? So you can say, woo, it's time to grow. It's time to expand. It's time to change. It's time to change my thinking. It's time to change my conversation. It's time to change my habits, so that more of the life presence can flow through me. So if, in fact, you hear the dynamic of to see and to be and to live in serenity, expanding our context through prayer and through meditation, and then coming to an understanding that we are to rise and lift. You don't lift. You rise, and then the lifting ain't heavy if you know the what. Are you following what I'm saying here? And so that is why it's a little difficult when you're living in the world of effects, because you want to go out and you just want to do something. You see, you just want to go change something. But to go out and do something and change something without you being the vibrational answer of the change is simply to just move things around. Sometimes you might become a do-gooder and you just get in the way. Missionaries in Africa. They just got in the way of a culture that needed no assistance whatsoever. Not religiously, not spiritually, you see. But they were do-gooders, taking Bibles and misconceptions of Jesus onto the continent. Do-gooders messed up a whole lot of culture, you see. And so we're not here to be do-gooders. We're here to allow the all good of God to flow through us, to stay out of the way of that all good. And so that this is why we use the word beneficial presence rather than beneficent people. Not do-gooders, but a presence. And then that presence moves through us, and it moves through us, and it doesn't get in the way of people or manipulate people or force anything. It moves through us, and the vibration of what's moving through us, what does it do? We rise, and it lifts, and it works together for good for everyone. You see, there's something about this. Catch this. There's a presence. We all know there's a presence that's everywhere. The all-seeing eye that we see in Kemet. It's a presence that's everywhere. And what it sees is itself everywhere, beauty and love. As it looks in our own soul, it sees the mirror of its own reflection of infinite potential. It's everywhere. And it sees the beauty and the love. That's the presence, okay? And then there's the individual expression of the presence called you and me and we and us. And then we have certain perceptions. We don't see the all. We compartmentalize life. We see a slither, Lee, of reality, a little bit of it. We don't see the whole thing. So somebody's over here seeing a little bit of reality. Somebody's over here seeing a little bit of reality. And according to this person, they're right. According to this person, they're right. But two rights don't make a right. There's an expanded awareness that's bigger than both limited perceptions. You see, two rights don't make a right. It is the presence. So at a certain point in our mystical development, we're coming to an awareness that there are all these beings on the planet having certain levels of perception. We're expanding our context so that we're willing to see what the presence is seeing. So we don't try to protect our opinions and our limited points of view. We're seeking to see what God is seeing and to be that frequency, you see. To see, to be, and live in serenity. Now I'm saying that's easy because people's opinions, they cherish their opinions. They'll fight for their opinion. They'll hate other people that don't have the same opinion. They'll become so wrapped up in their little self that all that matters to some individuals is their opinion and their point of view. Not you, not here, not now. You're setting yourself free so that you can begin to say, what does the presence see? And then you'll start to open up. In yourself, you'll be so full of God, you'll be no room for the little self. You see, instead of bad, you'll see undeveloped. In others, you'll see, oh, they just have a perception. It's not bad, it's just limited. You see in yourself, I have a perception. It's not bad perception, it's just a limited perception. Let me see the way it really is. And let that sight flood through me. Then you'll understand what Yeshua ben Joseph meant when he said, not only have I come to bring sight to the blind, that those that can't see, I will make them see. But he also said this, I have come that those that see, I will make blind. In other words, those that are full of their own little knowing, their own opinion, their own knowledge, I will blind them with the light so that they don't see that anymore. And they'll be flooded with a new revelation. Now, you don't have to wait for Jesus. You can do this every single day. You go to the well of your own moments of prayer, whether it's formal or whether you're just being mindful throughout the course of your day. Being mindful of what's passing through your awareness. Being mindful about what's to come out of your mouth. Being mindful of the energy that you are about to express so that ultimately you go less and less unconscious, allowing for the underdeveloped parts of you to take over, more and more conscious, so that which is really you can begin to reveal itself in thought and in speech and in action. And then you will see, you will be, you will live in serenity. You will bring peace because you will be in alignment with the power and the presence and the love of God. This is not religiosity. This is spiritual liberation. This is the dynamic of liberation that sets yourself free. So give thanks for the angel of transformation. Give thanks. Sometimes, even in your dreams, you'll get nervous because the angel will come and you'll get some foreboding news. And sometimes that news is really good news, but for the ego, it sounds like bad news because the news is coming for you to grow. Something's about to change. Something's about to be different. But the little you is going, oh no, I want everything to stay the same. Please don't change. Imagine the little chicken in the egg. It's kicking back, has all its food, its shell of protection, nice environment. Then it starts to grow. The food starts to run out. It starts to pollute its environment. Oh no, what's going on? And if it had human consciousness, it might pray for a bigger egg. I need a bigger egg. I done polluted my environment. I'm running out of food. But no, the angel of transformation comes, moves within that chicken, and starts to peck. And finally it breaks through that shell and steps into a world it didn't even know existed. All it knew was that shell and that egg. Sometimes we protected ourselves in a world and a world view and a perception. Pseudo-patriotism, a perception. Racism, bigotry, separation, a little protection. But there's a whole other world that God sees. And that chicken comes out and says, whoa, I didn't even know this existed. Please, I heard about Colonel Sanders, but not today. I'm crazy. Anyway, he steps out into a whole other world. There's a whole new world waiting for you. It's a world waiting for you right now. It's within you already. It's the angel of transformation is saying, come forward. The underdeveloped parts of you are just that. They're not bad. They're just underdeveloped. Do your inner work. Shine and share and give and activate your potential. Release life energy. Put a smile on your face. Proclaim that life is good, that this is the day the Lord, the great law, has made, commanding us to rejoice in it. And in that rejoicing, you will already be in advance of the gift that will manifest. You rejoice first, the manifestation comes second. You don't rejoice after the manifestation. You can, but you rejoice first. Then this manifestation. That's living life frontwards, not living life backwards. You see, are you catching this? Yes. It's so simple if you know what. It ain't heavy if you know what. The what? Whoa! Is the presence. Wow, real. Real. As I said many years ago, we're going from the real to the real, from the R-E-E-L to the R-E-A-L. So that real of cyclical thoughts and opinions and points of view that we keep running over and over and over again and experience over and over again, we change that real for the real. R-E-A-L. My life is divine. I'm a wave in the ocean of devotion, connected to the ocean forever as a distinct unit of infinite potential. You are magnificent. Catch that. Regardless of what anybody has ever said about you, if they didn't say you were magnificent and wonderful, it was a lie. All they were looking at was the underdeveloped parts of yourself, because that's all they could see, because that's all that was within them. Just take a breath with me right now. Release. Another breath. Release. Deep inhalation. Sustain it right there. Feel that all of your needs are met. Feel that you're divinely supported by a presence that's never in absence. Feel that. Feel it. Feel it. Release. As our nervous system is acclimating to the truth that makes us free, we turn within and we enter into the realm of prayer. Prayer is not begging or beseeching, as these new practitioners know. It's not begging God to be anything or to do anything that God is already not being and doing. Prayer is having a realization of that which God is perennially and forever is happening now, and we are removing the obscurations from the mind that we may see it, catch it, and live it. And how do we do this? If we know what, we know how. What do we know? Oh, there's a presence, and we're so grateful. Presence, we're so grateful. There's a presence, and we're so grateful, so thankful that the great recognition begins to take place in our heart and in our mind right now. We recognize the presence. we recognize the presence. And in this moment of recognition, something transformational takes place. We feel our sacred oneness with the presence. God is not far away. It's not distant. We don't have to say, God, please come here. Where could God go? God's everywhere. It's taught that it's omnipresent. So we don't say, come here. It's here. And we're one with this presence. And so in this consciousness of oneness, we're opening ourselves up now to a sheer realization. A dynamic inner revelation. You're as powerful as your personal revelation about your oneness with God. You're as powerful as your personal revelation of your oneness with the presence. And so we're opening ourselves up and speaking the word that we may realize the truth of our being. I speak the word for each and every individual tuning in right now, and even in what the world might call the future, that right where they are, the whole power and presence and love of God is. And this word is a vibrational word of a law of elimination and transmutation of anything that would hinder, delay, obstruct, or deny the fullness of life from expressing through each and every one of us. Discordant thoughts, misperceptions, misconceptions. The full reminder that we are immaculately conceived by our presence. Uniquely, expressed, emerging from the presence. So from this state of unity, the word is spoken for each and every one of us that we may be free. Each and every one of us that divine wholeness and health and vitality and vigor and regeneration and renewal is the order of the day. This is a new day. This is a new moment right now. This is a new moment. This is a new moment. This is a new moment right now. In the beginning is the word. This is the word right now. This is a new beginning right now. We're setting something new in motion right now. Something new right now. In the beginning is the Word, and the Word is with God, and the Word is God. And there's nothing created from this moment on in our life unless it carries the frequency of the God presence in the beginning, this now. All needs met. Peace of mind. Pure sense of well-being. The delivery of our gifts. Activation of our talents. Expansion of our capacity. Oh, thank you, angel of transformation. Thank you for any sense of uncomfortability that's an impetus for inner transformation. Ha! Be free right now. Give yourself permission. Woo! Give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to rise and lift. It ain't heavy. Now that you know the what, which is the presence. Woo! Feel. Now I need you to feel it. This is a feeling universe. I need you to feel this. Let it bypass any thoughts that would be saying, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know. No. Feel it. That all of the presence and power and love is right here and that life is for you. Just feel this. This is a feeling universe. Feel this. Help them. Help them feel it.
I pray you'll be alright. And watch us as we go. us to be wise in times when we don't know. Let this be our prayer when we lose our way. Lead us to a place. Guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be saved.
You're feeling it? You're feeling it? Feel your connection to the ineffable, the presence. As you're feeling your connection to the ineffable, be aware that we're all connected at the root or at the center. We're all one. There's a quantum statement by Yeshua ben Joseph that says, as I am lifted up, I draw all unto me. We lift, we rise, and we lift.